Hey guys, this is Dimitri with Joe's Gaming and Electronics, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to replace the LCD panel on your MacBook model A2338. Before we get started, I do want to let you guys know that we provide a mail-in repair service. If you would like to send your MacBook in for a repair, you could fill out the repair form on our website. The link will be down in the description below, as well as the part that I'll be using. We do sell that on our website as well, and the tools that I'll be using to perform this repair. So we're gonna flip this MacBook over and remove the back cover screws using a P5 screw bit. Once all the screws are removed, I'm going to use this suction cup to pry the back case off. Like so. Once you heard it unclip from the middle and the sides, you can just grab it, lift it up and pull it towards you, like so. And then we're gonna set this aside. The next step, what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna disconnect the main power. And to do that, we are simply going to disconnect this ribbon. We're gonna remove this screw by using a T5 bit. Once that is done, lift this little ribbon up, and you want to open up the MacBook and press and hold the power button for at least 5 seconds to drain all the power. Once that is complete, we can start removing all these screws to pull off the screen display. And for these, I'm using a T5 screwdriver. We're removing this screw to disconnect the Wi-Fi antenna. Once you've removed all the T5 screws, you can go ahead and unplug the LCD from the motherboard, like so. And all that we have left to do is remove these little screws for the Wi-Fi antenna and the main screws that hold down the LCD. For the Wi-Fi antenna screw, you're going to want to rock a P2 bit. It's a 0.8. Once all those screws are removed, you could wiggle this out and remove the Wi-Fi antenna. Now we're gonna switch over to our T8 bit. I think it's the T8H bit actually. And we're gonna go ahead, pull these last 6 screws. What you're gonna see me do is I'm only pulling the ones that are on the sides and I'm leaving the middle ones in. And why I do that is because it's a lot easier if you leave these in and you open up the MacBook and remove these last 2 screws. Then it makes it a little easier to pop the screen display out of the main housing. Alright, so once this is removed from the keyboard housing, what you're gonna want to do next is grab a flathead, and we're gonna go ahead and just kind of pry this up. I like to remove this rubber gasket so that when we start heating up the display itself, that we don't melt it, because you do need this. So we're just gonna go ahead and peel it up carefully, make sure that you don't rip it. Once we get it to this point, you can follow the same steps on the opposite side. Right up to there, that's perfect. I'm gonna grab some thin nose tweezers, and over here you're gonna notice that there's some black adhesive. We're gonna wanna hook that and pull it up, and I'll show you why. in a moment. Once we're able to grasp a little bit of it, it's going to make it a lot easier to peel this rubber gasket that goes around the display panel, and you want to make sure that you're pulling them together. Otherwise, there's a good chance that you might rip the rubber gasket that goes around. Now right there it ended, so we're gonna peel this side up and proceed with the same steps. Alright, we hit a little blocking port right there, so we'll start on this side and work around. Once that is removed, you can set the rubber gasket aside. We'll need it a little bit later, but for now we can unplug these two connectors right here, and we're gonna go ahead and work on removing the bezel. And to do that, we're gonna use a heat gun. I'm gonna run it at about 250 degrees Celsius. One of these pry cards that are just matted over kind of gives it that waxy feel, but it's not. So you don't want to apply direct heat to the screen, just off to the side on the bezel, move it up and down. Grab this card. It does sometimes help to just grab a little flathead, and on the end here just apply a little bit of pressure just to get it to pry up just enough so that you could get the card in. Don't apply too much pressure because the bezel is pretty sensitive. It's easy to snap it. Perfect. Once the card's in, go ahead and apply your heat. And while I'm applying the heat, I'm gonna go ahead and just work the card through the bezel. Perfect. Once you remove the bezel, you can clear off the excess adhesive. Well, for this next step, what we're gonna do is grab our T5 screwdriver and remove all these screws that you see at the bottom. With your flathead, you can pry these up and remove this, set it out of the way. And now we're going to use our flathead to peel this tape up on this point and this point. And now we are ready to put this on a heat plate. Okay, so I have the LCD panel on the heat plate right now. What you want to do is grab a little bit of tape, and right here where you see that little U-shaped piece, you're going to want to put some tape there so that it doesn't scratch this cover part. We're going to do it on that side and on this side as well. And we're gonna let this heat up for about 7 minutes before we proceed with the peeling process. Now that I had the screen on the heat plate for about 7 to 10 minutes, I'm gonna use this flathead to just pry this corner up just a tiny bit. You don't want to do a whole lot because you will cause it to shatter. And once the screen shatters, it's just bad for business. Once we get it up just a little bit, I'm gonna go ahead and jimmy this card in underneath here, like so. We're gonna repeat and follow the same steps on the opposite side. Once we got the two cards in, I'm gonna go ahead, turn on the suction plate, and we're gonna work these cards all the way to the top. Once I get really close to the top, I like to rotate the screen around, like so. Alrighty, so once we've gone around with the card, you want to grab either a plastic spudger or a small little flathead. In this case, I'm going to be using the flathead, and I'm going to start prying. Let's see here. I'm just going to go ahead and start lifting the screen up. Help get these through where we put the tape on. Once we've done that, we're going to use the heat gun, run it at 250 degrees Celsius, and just kind of heat up the areas that still have adhesive holding it down while pulling up top. Once we peeled this off, I'm going to set it aside, clean off any remaining adhesive while it's still warm and easy to remove. Make sure you don't touch the diffuser. It is pretty sensitive, so you want to make sure that you stay clear of it. Alrighty, that should do it. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this off the heat plate. This old LCD panel that we pulled off, I'm going to put it back onto the heat plate. I'm gonna use a razor to score the outline, just so that when we're installing the metal bracket on the new panel, we have an outline for it. Once that is complete, I'm gonna grab a thin star pry tool, and we're just gonna run it through. Once that is done, go ahead and peel this back like so. And for this next step, I'm gonna go ahead and turn on the suction. And with the really thin wire, we're gonna go in the corner right here, and we're just gonna cut through the adhesive. Super fast, really easy, and you don't have to worry about shattering the screen. Go ahead and remove this metal bracket, and now we can dispose of the old panel and get this heat plate out of the way, for we are done using it. So now that we're all done with the old broken LCD, we're gonna go ahead and grab our screen housing, and we're gonna install the rubber gasket that we removed in the very beginning. And if you notice, there's like these little pop outs, and if you look on the housing, you're gonna see these little indents right there. You just want to go ahead and line them up. Once we got the rubber gasket installed, we're gonna go ahead and get this prepped by installing the tape. Once we put tape on the outside, we're just gonna go ahead and give this a quick old dust. Make sure that there's nothing on there. Go ahead, set that aside. We're gonna go ahead and prep this. you're going to want to remove all the old adhesive. So once we got the panel prepped with all the tape, you're going to want to take this metal piece, and on the back side you're going to want to remove the old adhesive and put fresh tape. And while you're applying tape, you can go ahead and do that with the bezel as well. I went ahead and added the tape, so those are ready. Now what we're going to do is we're going to grab our housing. We're going to place it down like so. And this metal piece that we just prepped, we're going to go ahead and install it. You're going to want to make sure that you do your best to line it up, and we're just going to fasten it down with a few screws. Once we get that installed on a few screws, you're going to want to take a piece of tape and just put it up top. Like so. We're going to grab our brand new display, and you want to do your best to make sure that you get it centered. So you want to make sure that this is centered. Once you got it pretty centered, you can go ahead and put this tape over. This will help keep it centered. And we're going to go ahead and lift this up, and where we already prepped this, we're going to go ahead and remove the top layer to expose the adhesive. I'm going to put that down, and then go ahead and just with the microfiber gently push down like so. Once that is complete, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go ahead and remove the screws that you installed. You can go ahead and peel this off, and we're going to remove the panel. Set that aside. Now that we have this metal bracket on, we have to put adhesive on this bottom piece. Once we got this adhesive on, if you remember, we did score it, so I do have an outline on this metal bracket. I'm gonna go ahead and remove the top layer. Make sure that it's lined up. Once we've done that, I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of take care of this part real quick. Go ahead and just put that bend in it. Alrighty. Now, what we want to do is we want to go ahead and remove the tape right here. And you're ready to peel the top layer to reveal the adhesive, because we're gonna get ready to put the screen on. Once you've done that, go ahead and just kind of blow off any dust or any residue that might be on here. Once that is done, you want to peel the clear film off this. You want to be very careful when you peel this off. Make sure that you don't get any dust particles on there as well. Gonna go ahead and hit it with some air. And we're just gonna go ahead and put this over the top. We're gonna try our best to make sure that we line up the bottoms This looks pretty darn good actually. Now that we got this place, we're gonna go ahead and fasten it down with these screws that we first removed. Once we get the corners, I'm just gonna go ahead and tuck the remainder of this in. Once that is tucked in, we're gonna go ahead and fold these. Gonna plug these ribbons in. Once these ribbons are plugged in, I'm gonna go ahead and install these brackets just so that it keeps it in place. Cool. Once we got that taken care of, I'm just gonna grab my microfiber and just kind of go around, make sure that the screen sits on the adhesive all around. We can remove this right here. These guys, we just want to line them up and push them down so that the tape could grab a hold of the metal bracket that we originally peeled it from. Now we want to grab this and go ahead and install that by simply just lining it up and pushing it down in. Gonna go ahead and push that down. Hold it down while I fasten it with the screw. Gonna do the same to the opposite side. Now go ahead and just line all these up and fasten it down with the screw, and you could put all the screws in at this point. Once we got all the screws installed, we're gonna install this bezel. First things first, make sure you peel this film right off, and then we're gonna remove this so that we could expose the adhesive. I like to line the bezel up with the corners, so I just try to make it as straight as possible. Once the corners are lined up, I'm just gonna use a microfiber to push it down, make sure that it's sitting well on the adhesive. Once that is all set in stone, we are ready to start putting this baby back together. With that being said, we're gonna grab this with our new screen. I'm gonna lift this up a little bit and just kind of bring the hinges down like so. While they're like that, I'm gonna pop one screw in on each side. Not all the way, just enough to hold it. Now we're gonna go ahead and close the MacBook. And proceed with tightening these screws. Once that is a wrap, you want to install the Wi-Fi antenna. When we got that placed, I'm gonna install these first. Once those 4 screws are installed, you can fasten these ones just to hold this plate down in place. And I'm not tightening them all the way, just enough to keep this down. Now that that's being held down, we're gonna install all these little screws back into the Wi-Fi antenna. Get that fastened. go through, tighten these ones, as well as installing these. We're gonna plug in the motherboard ribbon into the LCD. Pop this pin or ribbon holder. We're gonna take the hinge covers, pop those in, get them fastened down as well. Once you get the hinge covers installed and fastened, next plug in the Wi-Fi antenna. You just simply line these up over the connection points and just push down. You should feel it clip into place. You want to fasten it down with the screw. Pop that cover back on. Install the main big screw. Once that's fastened, you can plug this ribbon in. Make sure that you push this little tab down once you plug the ribbon in, like so. You're gonna throw this cover back on. Next, grab the back cover, go ahead and just line it up and slide it forward. You should feel it latch onto the hinges. Once it looks like it's all good, you can push on the sides, in the middle, get that fastened in there. Switch back to our P5 bit. Fasten the remaining 6 screws, and we're gonna call it macaroni. Once all the screws are in, you have successfully replaced the LCD panel on your MacBook model A2338. Once again, guys, we do provide a mail-in repair service for these repairs. So if you are looking to get your screen fixed or replaced, you can fill out the repair form. It's going to be on our website, as well as we do sell the part if you're looking to tackle this repair on your own, and we do provide the tools that you saw me using in this video to perform this repair. Everything will be down in the description. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. Thanks for watching.
If you guys love what we do, please support us. You guys can click on the links that we have on the end screen. You guys can buy parts, sales, or service so we can continue to make great videos for you guys for many more years. Thank you.